Time to go racing at the circuit. Marco Simoncelli at Misano, and it's the GT4 European Series. First race of the second round of the championship. It kicked off 2 weekends ago at Imola. 2 more teams have joined the grid this weekend, 19 cars coming out to play, and it's a championship that will continue to grow and grow through the course of the year. One race for an hour today and another tomorrow, and conditions very hot and sticky. Track temperature is not going to be kind to tyres this afternoon. Cockpit temperatures most certainly not going to be kind to the drivers. If you've never seen the circuit before, it's a series of twists and turns, 4.226 kilometres and 16 turns knitted into that length. There is a gentle breeze. Track temperature has actually come down by about 6 degrees since before lunch today. Hopefully, for the driver's sake, it will continue to go down, but humidity is rising, 65%. It's not comfortable in the cars, but the drivers desperate to get their racing season rolling yet more after a good start 2 weeks ago at Imola. And the cars coming out to start this 1 hour race any moment now. And great to see a mix of cars, and it really is a mix of cars across the 19 entries to this series. And in fact, the first 5 places on the grid, 5 different manufacturers. We've got an Aston Martin on pole position, a Chevrolet alongside, then Mercedes in third on the grid, a BMW in fourth. In fact, sorry, it's 5 in the top 6, because then we got in 5th place, we've got another of the Aston Martins from AGS Events, and in 6th place, the best of the Porsches. And that's the one entered from Centri Porsa Ticino in Switzerland. Car number 718, but a great mix of cars, and as soon as people can come out to play, pandemic restrictions put to one side, both from economic points of view and of course from health precautionary side, I'm sure this grid will grow and grow, because GT4 racing has been something of a success in the past handful of years, and most notably a number of the drivers are now starting to step up a division to GT3 and come to race in the GT World Challenge. Indeed, that was one of the very reasons that GT4 racing was put alongside to propel the drivers there. But the teams grow as well, and AGS Events going from strength to strength. They've got cars 1st and 5th on this 19-car grid, so they can be very proud of their performance in qualifying. And in fact, car on pole position shared by Theo Nue and Valentin Haas-Clos. They were nearly 7/10 of a second better than any of the others. So that was a really imperious qualifying performance from them. Conditions certainly hot and sticky for the crews and drivers alike, and they will be praying that breeze that we saw blowing the leaves around will continue to pick up and give a little bit of respite for the drivers in the field. Quite a few of the teams entering multiple cars. SRT could just see the gunmetal livery of one of its 3 Mercedes in the field. That's the car that qualified 12th, number 30. That's shared by Belgian racer Wim Spinoy and Kai van Berlo, one of the Van Berlo racing family from the Netherlands. And look for them picking their way up the order as they go. As it stands, the front row has got a Chevrolet Camaro on it, and it's the V8 racing entry. Started by Timon Nabush, and he'll be handing over to Jo Rapang, his fellow Dutchman. And the V8 racing team has been a backbone of this championship for a large number of years. And it's good to see their metallic blue cars right up at the sharpish end of the field, right on the front row. The sister car a little further back up the order. But pole position, car number 27, Aston Martin, Theo Nue and Valentin Haas-Clos. They have the bragging rights. Borisan Automotive Motorsport we've got 2 cars in the field. Cem Bolukbasi and Yagis Gerek will be starting from the outside of the front row. That's the side closest to the pit wall, and their teammate will be doing racing solo, Ibrahim Okyai. He'll be running from the tail of the grid, 19th and last position for him. But great to see their aquamarine liveried cars out there. And for Ibrahim Okyai, he's not just someone who enjoys his racing, but he's someone who is the man in charge of BMW's import program in Turkey. So a busy man on and off the track. New body shape this year. In fact, you can see the tail of one of them. There are 2 Toyota Supras, left-hand side of the screen, entered by CMR, the white livery. Stefan Lemeray and Gael Castelli. They didn't set a time in qualifying, but you know what? They should be the faster of those cars, of the 2 CMR Supras. Antoine Poiti and Timothée Bouret will be up. Let's go down here from V8 Racing with Timon Nabeurs.
Timon, second place here on the grid. It's a long first straight. Track's very, very sticky. How are you feeling?
Yeah, I'm feeling good. First time on the front row, so that's always good. Second race weekend for me as well. So yeah, I'm happy. Car did a great job, but I think we have to take a look at the start. We are quite good on power, so yeah, let's see what we can do on this long straight until the first corner.
Thank you. Have a great race.
Thank you.
So young Dutch racer Timon Nabeurs there, not so accustomed to racing at Misano, far more accustomed to racing, of course, at Zandvoort. Competed in the Supercar Challenge and placed very well in that last year. But a whole new game for him, sharing with Joop Rapanga, fellow Dutchman. And there's the car on pole position. 2 Aston Martins entered by AGS Events, and Tia Nue will be starting this before handing it over to Valentin Haskloos. And they're looking very, very strong indeed. He was a top kart racer just a handful of years ago, Tia Nue, and this is his second season in GT4. Last year, with the same team, he was racing a Porsche, but they've moved across to Aston Martin with their cars 1st and 5th on the grid. They must be feeling very, very pleased indeed with that change of manufacturer. Busy down on the grid, you can see crews all wearing their face masks because this entire meeting is run in the very, very strict procedure, of course, to stay the right side of the COVID-19 precautionary distancing. Mercedes from NM Racing Team, Javier Loveras and Luc Ibanez will be sharing that, starting in 3rd position. And the NM Racing Team not so long ago was running Ginettas, and this season really going to stretch their legs with the Mercedes. Go so far so good for them. But if you want to see the car that won the opening race and the second race at the opening round, you need to look for the RN Vision STS BMW of Gabriele Piana and Baz Schouten. You have to look back to the outside of row number 4, 8th on the grid, some distance away from the ultimate place, 1.5 seconds and more for Baz Schouten and Gabriele Piana, but expect them to come forward. They're running up, slotting in immediately behind Even Jacoma. There's Even, Swiss racer in the Porsche, one of the Porsche Caymans, the best placed of the Porsche Caymans. He's 6th on the grid, and the second of the AGS Events Aston Martins is in the background. Hot in the cockpit. Concentration on what lies ahead, and the run to the first corner is super, super short before the track suddenly bends tightly to the right and then immediately to a left. It's very tempting to try and make a dive up the inside, but if you get it wrong into the first turn, you'll be out of position when it comes to turn 2. But a lot of it is guesswork and just holding on. Gilles Vanelay will be driving the second of those Aston Martins. Gilles races a lot of cars, races in GT3 category, but here just can't keep himself away from the cars, so he's racing in GT4 as well. A man who races all around the world in his quest for GT racing glory. But cars looking good. Conditions looking absolutely fine, but the drivers would like it that little bit cooler if possible, but it's not going to be the case today. But then again, they're racing on Sunday at Misano as well. Their race will be at 9:30 tomorrow morning, so it'll still be warm, but maybe not as warm as it is now, which will be a great cheer for all of these drivers. But right now, it's an hour of racing ahead of us. We're starting in 7 minutes' time. The lights will go green. We'll have the rolling lap around for the drivers to see that starting gantry. And 1 minute until engines coming on, the board being waved around at or held up high at the front of the grid for these drivers to pay attention. And that means clear the grid. You can see mechanics all making their way to the gaps in the pit wall. And now we can see the cars in all their splendour. 19 cars, up 2 from the opening round, and more will be joining through the course of the year. So great job by all of these teams to scramble through the pandemic and put the cars out for us to enjoy the racing. And don't forget, we've got a few starting in positions you wouldn't expect, including the car that's penultimate on the grid. On the outside of row number 9, the number 8 CMR Toyota Supra. Expect that to really start picking its way up the order. The sister car is starting from 7th position. That's car number 66, also in the white livery there. Now, take a look as the Audi pace car sets off. We've got the front row of an Aston Martin and a Chevrolet Camaro V8 from V8 Racing. That's the only engine format they know, and quite rightly so, I feel, in so many ways. But look how short the run is. The field gets waved away. There is the start line. And as we swing around, as they set off on the formation lap, you'll see the run to the first corner is super, super short. And of course, that can have consequences. Think I suppose, the distance from the starting grid at Spa-Francorchamps up to La Source. It's possibly even less than that, but instead of being into a hairpin, it's a right and then a left. Those curbs will certainly have some traffic going over the top of them when we set off into this 1 hour race. So let's just run you down the field. AGS Events, Aston Martin on pole position, Theo Nue. Valentin Hasclot will be his teammate waiting to take that over. Timon Nabours will hand over to Diop Propanga for the V8 Racing Chevrolet team. Then NM Racing team with their Mercedes running around third in on the grid, sharing that second row with Cem Bolokbazi, the Borusan Automotive racer from Istanbul. Third and fourth. There we have it, Mercedes and BMW. Row number 3, Gilles Vanderlei in the second of the Aston Martins, with Ivan Giacomo in the best placed of the Porsches from Century Porsche Ticino. First of the Toyotas, the Supra of Antoine Potti, starting 7, and Baz Schouten, the car that won the double at Imola, has a way to go forward. Ahead of the teammate, Mark van der Aar and Jan Kasperlik in one of the Allied Racing Porsches. Then SRT Mercedes in 11th and 12th. Bob Herber, who'll be racing solo, and Wim Spinoy. Jean-Luc Behe in the third of those Mercedes, all running together. And Jörg Wieber in the second of the Allied Racing Porsches in 14th position. And Salvatore Valli in the W&D Racing team, that's a local team, just from San Marino. Up the way will start 15th. Maurizio Frati sharing the Orlando Sport Porsche starts 17th. And Stefan Lemeret, look for him, he's starting 18th, will surely progress. And Ibrahim Okiai bringing up the rear in the second of those Borusan Automotive Motorsport BMWs. Heat is in the cockpits. Drivers trying to get heat into the tyres, heat into the brakes, and cool into their minds as they consider what lies ahead on this blast down to the really short run to turn 1. Get through 1 and 2 without damage, you might be able to stretch away, but turns 4 and 5 also are a point of overtaking. Then if you're clear of that, down onto the infield straight, the kinked infield straight that starts at turn 6, and then into a corner where you can certainly try an overtaking manoeuvre. That is into turn number 8, the left-hand hairpin on the infield. But really, in so many ways, the key corner after you've got through turns 1 and 2 is turn number 10, where the field peels out of a tight right, well, a broad right-hand hairpin onto the long back straight. It's got kinks in it, but good entry speed onto the straight will offer you huge benefits on the run all the way down to turn number 14. Field running 2 by 2 as requested through the final sequence of corners, all nicely in grid position. If you can see the second of the Aquamarine BMWs in the background, they are all in grid order. 19 cars ready to go racing. And Aston Martin in pole position, that's car number 27, Theo Nue at the helm, and alongside young Dutch racer Timon Nabours in the number 17 Chevrolet. Round the corner they go. They can't race until the lights on the gantry go from red to green. 1 hour of racing lies ahead. Who's going to be first down to turn number 1? Brilliant start from one of the SNS BMWs from around mid-grid, but it looks though the pole starting car has got its nose still in front of the Camaro down into turn 1. In behind, it's tidy. Cem Bolokbazi gains a position over Javier Loveras, loses a bit of ground in the Mercedes, and then gets shoved a little bit wide. May lose a place to the Porsche as well of Ivan Giacomo, but a great start from the pole starter. Now Timon Nabours under challenge for second position from Cem Bolokbazi. 15 started in third, is down in fourth now. That's Javier Loveras. It's clean, it's tidy. There may well be, as one of the RN Vision STS cars makes a move. Baz Schouten, we saw him on the grass in 1-1-1 already at the start. He's trying to gain a position. In fact, it was the sister car, the other RN Vision STS car, Koen Burgarts, who got on the grass on the run down to turn 1. But they're desperate to make up for a poor qualifying session. Quite simply, that position that Theo Nue had by getting his nose in front on the run down to turn 1 has paid dividends. He's not under pressure now. He's starting to attack. In behind, a bit of contact. One of the Supras given a clunk, and there's bodywork rubbing, unfortunately, there for the better place the Supras when they were on the grid. That is falling down the order now. Really unfortunate for Antoine Potti. Given a bash up the rear. That's bodywork rubbing on a tyre. He's going to have to go back. Has he got a puncture as well? The sister car, the all-white Supra, has passed him. So one bit of argy-bargy on the opening lap. Positions changing as you can see the rear bodywork damage on the number 66 Supra. So unfortunately for Antoine Potti, that's going to go back and be fixed. He's fallen right to the tail of the order. Gilles Vanderlei there being pushed very, very hard indeed, but it's leading the race. Tio Nue at the front of the field. He's gained about a second over the opening lap, just waiting for that to be confirmed, but it's a clear advantage. Gilles Vanderlei swinging wide in the second of the Aston Martins, trying to take a wide line into turn 1 on this, the start of the second lap. But it's Tio Nue from Team Nabur, Cem Bolokbazi, Gilles Vanderlei. They're the top 4. And for Javier Lloveras in the NM Racing team, number 15 Mercedes, frustration. He started 3rd, he's fallen back to 5th position. But most frustration of all, of course, was for Antoine Potty, who's had to report to the pits with that bodywork damage at the tail of the field. And one person who's been making progress is Ibrahim Okyai. He started in 19th position. He's up to 14th. That's been a very good opening lap for him. Tio Nue not only leading the race, starting to stretch his legs and pull clear. And for unfortunate number 66, the bash up the back, the bodywork pushed down onto the tyres. This isn't a super speedy pit stop. I'm sure he will be going back into the race, but right now it's all about making sure the bodywork is not rubbing on the tyre. Let's take a look at the restart at the start of the race. And certainly one of the RN Vision STS BMWs got on the grass. Was the car in front. The Toyota was slow away. That was Antoine Potty. He decided to go round. Not a lot of traction on the grass there, unfortunately, for Koen Bogarts. Tidy into turn 1, but the person losing out was Lloveras from 3rd on the grid. Back to 5th he went in the sort of a few little bits of contact between turn 1 and 2, but that's condition normal, situation normal. And there is Lloveras, who lost out. He's in 5th place now on the tail of Gilles Vanderlei, tucked in behind even Jacoma. Then in 5th place we've got Baz Schuten in the car that won both of the opening races of the opening round at Imola a couple of weekends ago. An uncharacteristically poor time in qualifying, and is really starting to press on now in that aquamarine and yellow car from RN Vision STS. The one with the red flashes is the one next in line, driven by Koen Bogarts. Then Jorg Biban and Jan Kasperlik in the Allied Racing Porsches, completing the top 10 positions. Tucked in behind Stefan Lemeray. He started 18th. He's up to 11. Good going in that number 8 Toyota. And the best place of the AM class cars is Gilles Vanderlei up in 4th place. The next best place is the one leading a train of cars in 12th place backwards. That's SRT's Bob Herber. Yellow and black Mercedes for him. Well, we all know when you're stuck behind a car you qualified ahead of, you think you're faster, you need to get back past. And right there, Javier Lloveras, the 15 Mercedes, flashing his headlights, but to no effect. Gilles Vanderlei can see him, but doesn't feel any pressure to pull out of his way. He's going to hold on to 4th place for now, leading the AM class. Leading car in Pro-Am is the one in front of him, that's Cem Bolokbazi, the Turkish racer in the Turkish BMW. And then up front, stretching clear, is the best of the Aston Martins. And for Tio Nue, he's got a lead of 1.25 seconds at the moment. Certainly his teammate Gilles Vanderlei has nothing like that margin over the car behind. Lloveras, well, at the start of the lap was 0.6 of a second down, and is now about 0.6 of a second down to about 1/3 of a second down. First 3 very evenly spaced, now 1.4 seconds from 1st to 2nd. And then a further 1.3 seconds back to Cem Bolokbazi. So the situation fairly standard at the front, but for Gilles Vanderlei, he's having to think very much. He's got to keep on his toes to keep that Aston Martin in 4th place. Certainly, if you look around the track, it looks like the BMW's a little bit better balanced, a little surer of foot in this circumstance, but the Aston Martin's really very quick indeed in GT4 trim, and the fact they're running 1st and 4th probably tells you what you need to know. That's the approach to turn number 8, the infield. It's a double apex left-hander, if you will, but plenty of runoff, as you can see there. So it is a corner at which drivers can make a move. Not quite the right moment yet for Gilles Vanderlei to be attacked, but it's all shaping up. Get a better exit from this, the corner that leads on to the long back straight. That's turn 10, but again, loses the air off the nose of the Mercedes as he tries to get out of the corner. Can't put the power quite down. The front doesn't want to stick to the track. If it doesn't want to do that now, I think what it's going to be like later in the race when the tyres are going off. There's rubber debris towards the edge of the circuit, the marbles that famously peel off cars on sticky rubber on a hot day. Hold on, it's a sticky day and there's hot rubber. So there we have it. It's going to be very, very tricky indeed as the session goes on. It's a 1 hour race with the driver change, don't forget. A couple of the drivers, Ibrahim Okyai and Bob Herber, doing it solo, but everybody else will come in within the 10-minute driver change window, which is between 25 minutes into this race and 35 minutes. Go outside those times and you'll be called in for a penalty in the pits. Again, all racing where there's a driver change will have very clear stipulations about what can be done and when. Transgress from those and you will pick up drive-throughs or even stop-and-go penalties. And so many races have been affected over the decades in this sort of racing where someone's just tried to steal an extra tenth of a second and been the wrong side of the rule book, and it's cost them way more than the tenth of the second they were trying to gain. Theo Nue, nearly 1.7 seconds to the good, leading for Aston Martin. That's the sister car on the screens. Great battle for fourth. Gilles Vanderlei holding off the Mercedes of Javier Loveras, and even Giacomo was at the start of the race on lap 1 on their tail, but he's fallen about 2 seconds further back in the Century Porsche Ticino. Best place for the Caymans, there it is, keeping the two RN Vision STS BMWs off his tail. Then really tight between the two Allied Racing Porsches, Jörg Wiebahn, Jan Kasperlik, Bob Herber, the yellow and black Mercedes. He's driving solo. He's going to be a tired being at the end of 1 hour of racing. These cockpits are hot. The track offers very, very little respite, because as you can see, even the long run, the straight as we call it, has 3 kinks in it between turn 10 and turn 14. You know, while you can relax to an extent when going in the straight line, when you've got corners thrown in for good effect, you cannot relax anywhere near as much. The G-force is really giving you a workover. The curve's giving you a workover. Simon Nabour looking very, very steady and safe in second place. In fact, just set fastest lap of the race. He's took a tenth of a second out of the race leading car. You can see 0.02 and NAB in the green lights on the window of that number 17 Chevrolet Camaro V8. And of course, NAB is the 3-letter acronym for Nabour, the driver's surname, and 02, which alternates with it on the screen, is the positional marker. Second in the race, not able right now to do a great deal about the race leader, but that last lap was pretty encouraging. He just chipped away a little bit. He's got to keep doing that. But look, just over 50 minutes remaining. We've almost had 10 minutes of this race. It's been Aston Martin all the way, but it was down to a very even start between the pair of them. Team in the ball, maybe possibly slightly better off the line, but the Aston Martin, once he got going, got the power down, got the traction, and took the inside line into turn 1 with enough space in front to be able to pull across and occupy that position into turn 2 as well. Slipstreaming down the long back straight. But this time the Mercedes has actually lost a little bit of the ground, lost a little bit of that toe. So maybe this is green shoots of recovery for Gilles Vanderlei. He hasn't got a lot of time to play with, but every half car length he can gain. Oh, Mercedes better under braking for the slow corners at the end of the straight. So maybe towards the end of the straight he got a little bit of help from a slipstream, but he needs to be closer if he wants to challenge for that 4th place. For now, it's in the hands of Gilles Vanderlei. Was there any change at the front? Did Team Nabour get any closer? Alas, not for the Dutchman, because he's now 1.8 seconds back. So recovery there from Theo Nue. But again, with these two makes of cars, they have different performance advantages at different points on the circuit. And certainly when you get to the slower corners, it seems the Mercedes just looks a little bit better under braking and is able to close in very much on Theo Nue. But they're about to come up on the car that's running last in class. I haven't seen if Potti has come back out of the pits, but the car at the back of the line, apart from that, will be Maurizio Fratti in the W&D Racing, sorry, the Orlando Sport of Porsche. Oh, now it's suddenly getting very busy. This is the battle from 10th, 11th, 12th and 13th. Almost a place gain there for the Toyota for Stéphane Lemeray. So he's in 12th place, nearly onto 11th. In fact, sorry, it's 9th place backwards. Running in the order of the two Allied Racing Porsche Caymans, Jörg Wiebahn ahead of Jan Kasperlik. Bob Herber pushing very hard in that yellow and black SRT Mercedes. And then Stefan Lemereau, we saw him at turn 8 there, trying to look up the inside, trying to get a tighter exit. It didn't work. Now he's got a slipstream. And in the background, they're about to be joined because Ibrahim Okyay is going to get a huge tow. If he can gain another half second, he'll be at the back of a train of 6 cars. And think of the advantage he can gain down that long back straight. But again, suddenly getting very, very close indeed between the two Allied racing cars. And unfortunately for Stefan Lemereau, running a little bit loose in the background. In fact, the best of that pack looks like it's Bob Herber in the yellow and black Mercedes. He seems to have the grip and the traction that he wants when he wants it. Deary me, the first of those cars, Jörg Wiebahn, running a little bit wide out of turn 16. Many more of those, he'll start getting driver warning flags. Or having a look up the inside, maybe not, deciding not. It's a decision process going through the mind of Bob Herber. And for the teams running the new Toyota Supra in GT4 trim this year, it was massively frustrating for a lot of them. Their car was delivered just about at the time that everybody went into lockdown, so no testing could be done until right before the car's season finally got underway. But expect the car to start advancing, and right now Stefan Lemereau all over the tail of Bob Herber. Down into the infield hairpin they go. Suddenly Herber was a little bit compromised, got too close to the back of Kasperlik, and his slow way 3 abreast. Why not? Because the Toyota Supra, which looked very good at that corner, well, he was on the wrong side there, and he's decided discretion is the better part of valour. He tucks in all over again, and in the background of the shot we've got Ibrahim Okyay really starting to make progress, and that aquamarine blue BMW getting really onto the tail of those cars ahead. A lap ago he was a good half second behind, now it's way less than that. Bob Herber is nothing if not persistent. He looked, he watched, he waited, he ducked one way, looked another, and he's now split the 2 Allied Racing Porsche Caymans, and that means that the order is Jörg Wiebahn, Bob Herber, and now Jan Kasperlik back outside the top 10, down into 11th position. Drivers being very, very sensible indeed, because this fight is slowing down all of this fall. That's why the second of the BMWs has got onto their tail in the background. If they wait a great deal longer, they'll have another car with them, because looks as though Wim Spinoy is getting closer and closer in the background. Let's take a look at the back of that shot. Yes, it's the gunmetal grey and green SRT Mercedes, so it could soon be a huge tow down the back if Spinoy can get that little bit closer. Now Kasperlik coming under great pressure from Stefan Lemereau. Can the Toyota driver go up the inside into turn 8? He's very good here, but he tends to be good halfway through the corner to the exit. Look how tight he can hold that Toyota Supra. Does look really nimble. Oh, he's just gone the wrong way there, because he wanted to go make a move one way and then suddenly spotted in the background that Ibrahim Okyay was right with him in the number 13 Borisan Automotive BMW, and had he moved across, they could have clashed, so he had to not pull across. Constantly changing cornering position, get it right on the exit of turn 8, and you can gain an advantage that you take through the kink at turn 9. That's a kink to the right, and then turn in as you wish into turn 10, the corner that leads onto that long back straight. Just had a change of position. Suddenly our Envision STS Baz Schouten has moved up into 6th place. Even Jacoma in the green, black and white Sentry Porsche Ticino Cayman falls down 1 place, and is he about to lose another to the sister car of Baz Schouten? Schouten up to 6th, and his teammate Koen Bogarts now getting closer and closer in 8th. He's been shown how to do it. Can he replicate that manoeuvre to demote the Porsche number 718, driven in the first half of the race by Even Jacoma? And look, now he's cleared. Baz Schouten is already starting to stretch his legs a little bit, but it must be said, at turns 4 and 5, the Cayman looked very good indeed. Maybe to break just where he wanted, really much deeper than the BMWs by the looks of things. Might just be down to the driving style, but certainly he looked very good on the brakes. But as you get onto the straights, the power of the BMW looks very good indeed. What does not look good indeed, unfortunately, is Wim Spinoy in the pits. He'd only just moved to up into, what do we reckon, just behind. He'd moved up into 12th place, and now it looks like he's got a puncture, front left puncture And problems out on the circuit. You see lights flashing, cars slowing down, yellow flags. Is the debris on the circuit? No, there's one of the BMWs. Is it Chembolok Bazi who's pulled off? Car number 8. No, that's the sister car. It's Ibrahim Okyai. Now, was the contact? Let's take a look. Are in vision cars? And there's going to be a passing manoeuvre. That's a very tidy passing manoeuvre for Baz Schoten, double winner in the opening round at Imola. So that's how that happened. We saw that. But in the background of the shot, contact, unfortunately, Wim Spinoy obviously decided to go up the inside. He caught Ibrahim Okyai, dived up the inside into turn 14. 2 cars clashed. Spinoy's now in the pits, and Okyai's BMW is off in the gravel. That is why the leading cars had the lights flashing. Slow zone at the end of the lap. It's a 16-corner lap. That was in turn 14 that Okyai was spat into the scenery, unfortunately. He'd started stone last and had really got onto the tail of the grouping. The car that collided with him, number 30 Mercedes, as we go under full course yellow, now back into the race and would have picked up a puncture. Let's take a look. Went up the inside, clattered the back of the BMW, and I think front, maybe this, well, it can't be the steering. It must just simply be the puncture and turning. Hold on, that's the way out of the pits. That is the way out of the pits. I talked earlier about how it's a very tricky exit because it keeps on going, but it's not often you clash with the barriers on the exit. So that was very well caught by the cameraman. It's not something you'd be looking for. I thought it was showing the car coming into the pits, and I was looking for a front left puncture. He could have earned himself another one hitting the barrier on the outside. But for Belgian racer Wim Spinoy, he'll be trying to get a feel for the car, trying to see, have I just damaged it? It might have just scraped the painting off the sidewall of the tyre, other side at the front. But he's had the clash in the overtaking manoeuvre that worked for him, but not for the car who's passing. But he's also had that little rub with the barriers on the exit of the pit lane. So it's been quite a lap, not even a lap for Wim Spinoy. He shares that car. This weekend, at least one of the 3 Mercedes from the Salazar Racing team. And he's sharing that with Kai van Berlo. It must be said, the front 5 cars have really put the gaps between them have opened out enormously under this full course yellow. So I'm beginning to wonder if everyone's getting the right procedure. So let's remind ourselves what happened at the start. Look for the BMW. Kurt Bogarts going onto the grass, trying to get past the Aston Martin of Gilles Vanderlei in front of him. Didn't quite work for him, but the lead Aston Martin did just enough with Theo Noué on board to be in the right position, the prime position down into turn 1, and was able to pull across over to turn 2 without being passed by the Camaro. In about 12th position, it suddenly got very, very busy. Typical first corner at Misano. A lot of compromise, a lot of people getting super close, maybe a few clashes, particularly at turn 2. It's such a tricky bit of track, but obviously clean for the first 2 cars on the grid. They went into first and second position, followed by Chembolok Bazi in one of the 2 Borisan Automotive cars. That's him just going through in 3rd place under full course yellow. Then Gilles Vanderlei is in the second of the Aston Martins, all race for company. He's got the car that started in front of him on the grid. That's Javier Loveras. And then we've got the 2 RN Vision cars. So both Baz Schoten and then Koen Bogarts made it past Even Jacoma. Even is in the background. JAC on the windscreen. He's 8th now. Not so long ago he was 6th. And he's suddenly got Porsches all over his tail. He's got at least one of the Allied Racing Porsche cars. That's Jörg Wiebahn and then Bob Herber in behind him. They complete the top 10. Jan Kasperlik, the best of the rest, in the second of the Allied Racing cars. FCY still being indicated from the pit wall, still trying to clean up Ibrahim Okyai's BMW from down in the gravel trap on the exit of turn 14. The sister car to Okyai is just out of shot, running in 3rd place overall, Chembolok Bazi. But to my eye, they need to really close up full course yellow. Let's just take a look. But one thing that Chembolok Bazi was able to do earlier in the season, when all racing was sidelined, was go into the virtual racing world that he's been occupying for a very long time. In fact, he's a member of the Red Bull Racing esports team. He's so good. So he was able to combine his 2 careers And a lot of pro racing drivers coming into play as well, and realizing you can keep yourself race sharp by doing virtual racing. And it's certainly been an eye-opener to many, many people on all sides of the fence. Bullock Barzi now has the second of the AGS events. Aston Martin right behind him. Gil Vanderlei, then Viveris, then the 2R Envision STS. BMW's there getting into the right sort of order, getting ready for a restart. But look how the cars behind really have let a gap open up. With your Wiesbaden, best of the rest, needs to get onto their tails. Waiting for signal, of course, as to when the safety car is going to withdraw. Not just yet. The light's still flashing atop the roof of that car, atop the roof of the Audi. Still waiting for signal as to when the full course yellow will come to an end. The safety car will withdraw and we go racing again. The body language of the cars now is pick up the pace, all the way back to 12th position. That's Stéphane Lemeray, who started very much out of position down in 18th place of the 19 cars. BMW's smoking a little bit. That's not what the doctor ordered at this stage. So we're green all over again. 36.5 minutes of racing ahead of us. It was a 1 hour race. It ate up a bit of the time, but what it does do is give those that are behind the race leader a chance to try and close in. But another good restart, or a good restart to follow his good start. Theo Nue again down into turn 1 in the lead position. And they're all looking tidy in behind them. Much tidier, a little more spaced out than when they had that rolling start. 718, even Giacomo under a fair bit of pressure. Still the front-running Porsche, but he's got Jörg Wiesbaden all over his tail. In fact, not over his tail. The car sponsored by the Dorint Hotel at the Nürburgring just dives up the inside and takes the position. So Jörg Wiesbaden very, very good on the restart. Even Giacomo caught a little bit napping. Bob Herber goes wide. He's running in 10th place, may lose a position. But Jan Kaspernik has already got past him as they drag down towards turn number 8. A hairpin when you can pass. No one has managed it just yet. But look at the body language of Baz Schuten. That's the aquamarine and yellow BMW. Go out towards turn 10. He's all over the tail of the grouping in front of him. May gain a position, but if not, he's certainly going to get a fantastic tow down the back straight. Yes, Bob Herbert did lose position. He's now behind Stéphane Lemeray, who was 2 places behind him at the start of the lap. So by running wide, that really, really cost him very badly indeed. Baz Schuten looking very, very positive. Car 111, 2 wins in the opening races at Imola a fortnight ago. Started down the order on the grid, down in 8th position. Now he's gaining places hand over fist, and his next target, Xavier Liveras, in the grey and red NM Racing Team Mercedes. Bob Herber, though, having been over the curbs in number 31, goes through the final corner, turn 16, quite tidy there. He's going to get a tow past the pits, but it's such a short drag down to the first turn. It's unlikely to benefit him, but let's have a look. Can he make a move? Doesn't want to make a move. The yellow and black Mercedes stays in behind the number 8 Toyota Supra. Don't forget, we lost the sister car very, very early on because Antoine Potty, who qualified well, was clattered, if not once, if not twice on the opening lap, and rear bodywork damage took his Toyota Supra out of the race. It's 12 laps down, sitting in the pits. Ibrahim Okiai also out of the race. We're down to 17 runners now. Okiai, of course, and even Giacomo, he was in trouble. He's in the pits. That's not what they would have. But the pit window is open. Of course, suddenly it sprung on us. It opens when the clock says 35 minutes at the top of the screen, and it closes again when it counts down to 25 minutes on the clock. So the first of the pit stops, that's even Jacoba handing over to Joel Comathius. But certainly that last lap hadn't been a great one for Giacomo, so maybe it was the time to get out and let his teammate have a go. And Jean-Luc Behe out on the track, but not running at the pace he would have been wanting to run at. So a problem for one of the 3 Celislaw Racing Team Mercedes. He was due to hand that over to Johan Vannerum, but hadn't made it back to the pit, so don't know what happened there. But what I can tell you is this has been a really good lap or so from our race leader, Theo Nue. He started at 1.5 seconds to good, but I think because the BMW has suddenly got really going in third place. Suddenly, Timo Nebor in the Chevrolet in second is having to look backwards rather than forwards. Yes, you can see the pressure. In fact, the second of the Aston Martins, so Gilles Vannelet, has shaken off the challenge from behind. In fact, we saw the challenge from behind. The NM Racing Team Mercedes enter the pit lane. There it is. Oh no, that's the Behe car. Was that just a slow in lap to hand over to Johan Vannerum? I'm not entirely sure. It certainly seems to be coming in very slowly indeed. Suddenly the pits becomes very, very busy indeed. Out on the circuit, number 22 Porsche being pushed really hard now. Stefan Lemeray, with cars entering the pits in the CMR Toyota, is now challenging Jan Kasperlik for 6th place overall. How things change and how fast it all shapes out. And place gain there for Schouten. He was all over the tail of Gilles Vannelet. Oh, except, sorry, that's our race leader, Theo Nue. So, sorry, those cars have pitted and our race leader is still going at the front of the field. 001 on the windscreen, 27 on the door. Theo Nue will hand over to Valentin Hasclot, but not just yet. He's enjoying his run. He's still got another 7 minutes before he has to enter pit lane. And sister car is in 4th place, but Theo Nue leading the way. 2.7 seconds to the good. But it's now over Cem Bolokbazi because Nabour has dived into the pit lane. So quite a few of these drivers looking very equitable. They're going to stop. If you stop, you're totally equitable. You do as the race leader is doing now, and you stop on the lap that will take you closest to the half-hour mark in this 1 hour race. So by my reckoning, we'll probably have Bas Schouten in the lead of the race. Just waiting for that to be confirmed. Of course, some of the front-running cars will cross the timing being in the pit lane. Others will do it out onto the circuit, but there we have 27 car that started on pole position. The Aston Martin, 1 of 2 from AGS events. And Theo Nue will hop out the far side and hand over to Valentin Hasclot. He had not a huge advantage, but a comfortable looking one. So the pit stop runs very cleanly and tidily. And it's not the longest in to the pit lane, out of the pit lane distance, but it's very slow on exit, as we saw a short while ago, with one of the cars hitting the barrier on the outside that turns the arcing return leg onto the track. Certainly gives drivers an opportunity to make a blunder that leaves them red in the face. So for now, having not made a pit stop, the race is now being led by Cem Bolokbazi, the number 12 Horasan Automotive Motorsport Group BMW at the front of the field. 22 at a standstill in the pit lane. That was Jan Kasperlik fighting around the tail of the top 10. And he's out, and he's now strapping in his teammate Bastien Bus. And fortunately here, with 19 cars in the field, in fact with one having withdrawn with damage, the pit lane offers plenty of space, but very sensibly AGS events brought their Aston Martins in on consecutive laps. That meant that the car that led the race early on is now back into the race, whereas the sister car is not to crowd it. Valentin Hasclot listed as 5th place, but as those behind it have made their pit stops, he should still, barring disasters, be back into the race in the lead. That should keeps pressing on yellow flanked BMW. As you can see, very, very difficult not to be busy when racing at Misano. There are curves to use to your advantage and not abuse. Many drivers do just go the wrong side of that, and they will be watched and given warnings and then penalties if they don't heed. But the act of driving in a car in a straight line at Misano is a very rare one indeed. Even on that long back straight, turn 10 leads to a kink at 11, another kink at 12, turn at 13, a lot of drivers run wide there, and you get down to the first proper turn in that run down at turn 14. Hopefully, still carrying momentum, hopefully on the right part of the track, but it certainly gives you scope for failure. Cem Bolukbazi going on as far as he can. Clock at the top of the screen. I'd suggest if he doesn't come in this time, he's got to come in next time around. He's got Jagi's Gedik waiting to take over. The two Toyota Supras at a standstill nearly went before the minimum time would have been achieved, and that was good work by the mechanic to just say stop and go. Something like a drive-through penalty would not have been entertaining. So Cem Bolukbazi will be coming back in very soon indeed. And out on the track, some good little battle. Well, good to see that it wasn't a problem for the Jean-Luc Behet car, because that's running down towards the tail of the field in 17th position, but as Gilles Vannelet comes in pretty much to complete the pit stop sequence at the top of the field, still waiting for Cem Bolukbazi, who will come in next time around. Expect the sister Aston Martin to work its way back to the front. So it's the 89 Aston Martin, Gilles Vannelet in the pits. And he will be handing that over very soon indeed to Nicolas Gomart, man who makes things tick at the AGS events crew. This is not what Cem Bolukbazi wanted on this lap. He wanted a clear lap before he came in. Pit window still open for another 2 minutes precisely, but he doesn't want to be delayed in any way, shape or form. A tenth of a second here, a tenth of a second there. These are things that will cost him. The car that was running in front of him in the race, but only just before the pit stop, is in front of him on the track. Well, it's behind him on the track, in front of him in the image, but that served its pit stop. And that's the V8 Racing Camaro. Now, though, in the hands of Joop Rapang. Zero, 2 on the windscreen. Gilles Vannelet handing over to Nicolas Gomart, waiting again to be signalled to get going and leave the pit lane. And there, the driver who was running third in the early stages of the race comes in from the lead of the race, but he has to serve the pit stop. Surely that will put him back into that third position, one would think. I still expect the car that led from pole, the number 27 AGS events Aston Martin, to be in the lead of this race after the pit stops. It had just enough of an advantage, barring disasters. Unfortunately, talking of disasters, the second of those Toyota Supras at a standstill, still in the pit lane. That was the car that picked up rear bodywork damage after contact on the opening lap of the race. It didn't look as though too many people were working on it, which is not necessarily a very good sign at all. So as the driver change is effected on that number 12 BMW and Jagi's Gedik takes it over, expect the lead to be occupied when by the time he rejoins the track, lead to be in the hands of number 27, not the driver who started it, but the driver who's taken it over, Valentin Hasklo. And it's looking like a very strong day indeed. Valentin Hasklo listed in second place, the number 27 Aston Martin, but of course the car of Cem Bolukbazi in the pit lane at the moment is listed in the lead because it's crossed the start-finish line, but they've got to complete the pit stop. The pit stop still being completed. Don't forget too, it's a Pro-Am entry. So it really is a good run for Cem Bolukbazi and Jagi's Gedik. But forget it, his run hasn't started yet. It's starting now. Oh, it's going to be quite close. But down the start-finish straight comes the Aston Martin. The BMW is way ahead, but just look how long the pit exit is. Passed before he's got to the corner. Aston Martin into turn 1, probably 1, 2, 3 into lap 2. BMW still accelerating within the speed limit in the pit lane. Can't see the track until he's gone around the long right-hander. Only now can he start to see it. Gosh, he might be below third place. Where's he come out? He's lost position to the NM Racing team. Mercedes. There he is. I think he's out in third position, but actually, just want to check where Gabriele Piana is in the mix. Look out for the 111 BMW. I think it's in the background of the shot. So Luc Ibanez is in second place at the moment. In number 15, there he is. Slightly wide on the exit of turn number 8. Got the move done. In behind then comes the BMW of Jagi's Gedik, just having taken it over. There it is, 003. On the positional marker, trying to get the power down too soon. And look, couldn't get the grip, the tail came out. That's going to really affect his run down the back straight, and the BMW behind must be thinking, great. possibility, and that's Gabriele Piana, man of the moment in GT4. Take a look at the replay. Jagi's get it coming around the corner. The front just didn't want to go where he wanted it, and he dipped those wheels over the edge of the curbing. That horrible feeling, it drops down into the gravel, kick up the dirt. That was skirting the gravel rather than being right in it. But look, down at turn 14, he's suddenly got company. And for Gabriele Piana, in the second of those BMWs, nearly had a little move into turn 15. That could have been a two-car tango to disaster. Didn't go for it. But for Gabriele Piana, this is very, very good news indeed. Now, lots of weaving behind, trying to unsettle it, settle Geddick, and certainly in terms of experience, Piana has got it. The car that lost out in all of that was V8 Racing's Camaro, fallen back to 5th position overall for Jörg Rapanga, and he's got a lot of company. 21 pushing really hard. That's Nikolai Moller-Madsen, and in behind Joel Komathius in the green, black and white Porsche. Up to turn 4 they go. The nose of the Porsche not quite inside. Now his position is compromised. Can the Porsche Ticino, green one, have a chance of getting past? Not in 4, not in 5, not in 6. Down the infield straight they go. Slightly kink, just hitting the kink. That's turn 7. Not really a corner at all. Now who's going to get the braking right as they go down to turn number 8? It's a double left-hander. Komathius looking one way, looking the other, but trying to run a wide line. He's around the outside. No opportunity presented though. So has to bide his time and think again. He's trying to do it around the outside, but this surely going to be pushing too hard, just where it's not right to do so. Race lead for Valentin Haskell, 5.7 seconds over Luke Ibanez. So the NM Racing team disappointed when Javier Loverge, who started the car, went backwards from 5th to 3rd. Sorry, from 3rd to 5th on the run to the first corner and through the first and second corners. But now he's in a fairly safe second place, 4 seconds or so ahead of Jagi's Geddick. But Geddick, of course, as we've seen, has got plenty of company. He's suddenly got Gabriele Piana all over his tail. So I think things could change really quite quickly. So it's Aston Martin from Mercedes, BMW, Chevrolet Camaro, and then 2 Porsche Caymans and a Toyota Supra. Lots of variety in the top 8 positions. All nice and tidy through turns 1 and 2. Jörg Rapanga, I think, is now starting to just get away a little bit from Nikolai Moller-Madsen. Those behind are not having a lot of space to play in. Komathius, Castelli being chased now by Paolo Maloney, the team from just up the coastline, the east coast, the Adriatic coast at San Marino. Well, it's not on the coast, just inland, but a very keen San Marinese team. WD Racing, 9th position overall, top 10 at the moment, completed by the second of the RN Vision STS BMWs. That's Mark van der Aar. His was the car that Kern Burgarts bounced across the grass on the run to the first corner on lap 1. I must say that number 8 Toyota Supra now in the hands of Gael Castelli just looks so nimble. Looks even, I mean, the Porsche Cayman's been a nimble car across the years, the latest development, the 718, but this Supra just seems to be able to go where the driver wants to put it, able to take a tight line. It's worked, could get the deal done through 13 into 14. Can he get the power down enough to keep the Porsche behind him? Yes, he can. So the Toyota Supra goes up 1 position, would like to be closer to the front, but it's good racing. So good job there by Gael Castelli, and unfortunately going backwards slightly, Joel Komathius. I'm sure he'll fight back, but the ease with which the Toyota Supra went past certainly was very auspicious. Yeah, that Supra really looks very nimble, light on its feet, light on its tyres. Whereas our race leader Valentin Haskell, he looks less light on his tyres, but he's really pushing that Aston Martin Vantage. You can see it weaving around a bit as he trying to get the braking done before he turned into the double right-hander at turn 8. Does that. That's a visual of the gap. 6 seconds on the start-finish line, back to the second place. Number 15 Mercedes from the NM Racing team. Then another gap. fact, the next car you saw was a lap down after problems early on. It's Gabriele Piana, who's now third in the number 111 BMW. That's the one with the yellow flash up its nose in the background. The car he passed because it made a mistake at that corner the previous time around is the Jagiz Gedik driven Borissan Automotive car. Then back in 5th place, disappointing with that, really, Yo Rapanga. There's that whole group. Second of the RN Vision cars now being pushed by a car. Unfortunately for Nicolas Gomar, his car's going backwards. This is the Aston Martin that started from 5th, driven very well by Gilles Vanderlei, but unfortunately in the shakeout after the pit stops, Gomar is having to look one way, look another, see what he can do. He's faster, but he's got to find a way past that BMW. Gomar not using the curves almost at all as he chases down Mark van der Aar. There's still Mark van der Aar, the Dutchman. Oh dear! Race leader is just pulling off the side of the track. Oh, disaster there for Valentin Haskell. So Luc Ibanez leads the race. He's got Gabriele Piana all over the tail of him. So the driver who took 2 wins in the opening race at Imola could suddenly be in the lead of this race. He's in 2nd place, but very, very close. And what cruel form and fortune there for the number 27 Aston Martin. I can't see a problem with the car, but clearly the driver, Valentin Haskell, has recognised something. And when it all looked in the bag, what did Elas say? 6 seconds to the good over the 2nd place. Luc Ibanez under no threat at all, but unfortunately with no forward motion at AGS events. Victory is not going to be here today. And suddenly, I hate to use the term alt, delete, restart, it's got going again. What can we do? 16.5 minutes remaining in the race, and how far down the order did Haskell fall? I think down to about 6th position, but suddenly Luc Ibanez leading the race. And he had about a 5-second, in fact it's gone out a lot because Gabriele Piana was fairly close to him. No, I tell you what, that was Piana catching one of the other SRT Mercedes, similar gunmetal and red race livery for them, but suddenly a great advantage for Luc Ibanez. So you take what comes your way. They've done well to get from having fallen from 3rd to 5th to get back into 2nd place, and now suddenly the prize is a whole lot more appetising for them. So the change, last year racing a Ginetta, this year suddenly racing a Mercedes, and it's looking very good for them. There's the 2nd place and 3rd place cars of Gabriele Piana and Jagiz Gedik coming through behind them. They're just 2 and a bit seconds apart, but 1st to 2nd, Ibanez back to Piana is 8.7 seconds. And just trying to see, Valentin Haskell waiting to see if he goes into the pits or does he continue past. Not listed, having come past yet. He's down to 10th place. He's fallen behind Bob Herber, behind Mark van der Aar, who's in 8th place, Jorge Matthias in 7th, and that's CMR Toyota number 8 that's running around in 6th overall in the hands of Gael Castelli. 4th, the Chevrolet. 5th, the best of the Porsches at the moment, that's Allied Racing Car, Nikolai Moller-Madsen. Then 6th place, Gael Castelli. And I must say, having qualified 2nd, that V8 Racing duo done a very good job. Thibaut Nebor, great first stint, and now Yo Rapanga, who's really, really short on experience. He's only 19 years old. He's doing a cracking job as he learns the car, the track, the type of racing, and he's holding on to position there. Now suddenly a problem there for Gabriele Piana by the looks. Oh, yellow flags, yellow strip at the top of the screen. He's spotted it. He's backed off in 2nd place. He's 8.7 seconds down. Oh dear. That's the Aston Martin again. And is it the W&D Racing Team BMW at the side of the circuit? Don't think they'd have had any contact unless the Aston Martin suddenly, having got going, stopped all over again. That's going to be towed away. W&D Racing car in the hands of Paolo Maloney, I think. Yeah, Paolo Maloney took it over from his teammate Stefano Valli. No form for him, for the team from just up the coast in San Marino. And unfortunately for Valentin Haskell, I was waiting for him to either come back past the pits. I commented he'd fallen down to 10th place. Well, he's down to 14th, but he was going nowhere. Couldn't complete the lap. Full course yellow. So the race leader, number 15, started 3rd on the grid, the NM Racing Team. For Luc Ibanez, this is looking very, very good indeed. But he's going to have to control the restart when we get around to that time of day. This is his third season the start of his third season in GT4 racing. But as recently as 2018, he was also competing in karts at European level. So Luke, a young star, and he's really settled into GT4 racing very, very well indeed. But the change from Ginetta last year to Mercedes this year looks like a really good one for the crew. And it's up to the drivers to see what they can deliver. His teammate has had his run in the number 15 car, and the remainder of 13 minutes remaining in this 1 hour race is all about what the man at the wheel can produce. Can he hand over at the end of the race, bring it back to the paddock and put a smile on Javier Lloveras' face, or will something go wrong for him as well? Can't tell you what went wrong for the Aston Martin that was leading, sitting on that comfortable lead, but the car has failed. It got going again, and it failed once more after that. And unfortunately, that is that for the number 27 Aston Martin. Still, AGS Events have got one of their cars in the race, but unfortunately it's fallen down to 11th position overall in the hands of Nicola Gomar. Got a podium position very much on for Yagiz Gedik, Gabriel Piana in second place, and race leader Luc Ibanez. Waiting for that 27 Aston Martin to be towed off the circuit. Still the W&D Racing BMW just spotted at the edge of the track on the exit of turn 10. That's the entry to the kinked back straight. But for the drivers here, it's probably getting really quite hot in their cockpits. They're running around more slowly, less air being driven in through the cars. Bob Herber's had a good race. He's racing solo in the number 31 entry, running in 9th place, rumbling around. One of the 3 Mercedes AMGs entered by the team, by the Salazar racing team, a Belgian racing team. And Bob, he's not just had some good laps, he's had some great racing, which is the absolute name of the game. Car in front of him is Mark van der Aar, the second of the Orange Vision cars. But our leader, and in fact, let's just run down through the classes. The AM leader is the one we're looking at now, Bob Herber. The Pro-Am leader is in 3rd place overall. That's Yagiz Gedik. But the outright leader, of course, it's a silver lineup. It's Luc Ibanez, who's at the wheel, and Javier Lloveras. But for the AM honours, and just also for the honour of challenging some of the Pro-Am runners, you have to take your hat off to Bob Herber. He's had a really good run for the Salazar racing team. So take a look at the order. It's Luc Ibanez, Gabriel Piana, Yagiz Gedik, and then Yoda Panga in that Chevrolet Camaro, Nikolai Moller-Madsen, Porsche, and Gael Castelli up in the number 12 entry number 8 entry. That's the remaining CMR Toyota. So he's in 6th place overall. Clock continues to count down. It's a 1 hour race. We have just over 10 minutes remaining, but we're not going back to full racing yet. The light's still on the light bar on the top of the Audi, but the gap between first and second is going to come down a bit. The car in second place is the yellow and aquamarine BMW. The car between that and the race leading Mercedes is a lap down in 13th place overall. I think it's Johan van Rom. That's the car that came out of the pit lane and clouted the barriers before it even left the pit lane. Having been off earlier in the race, having clashed with Ibrahim Okyay, caused the first safety car period, putting the Turkish BMW off into the gravel trap down at turn 14. There's Yoda Panga, and tucked in behind the Allied Racing Porsche, Nikolai Moller-Madsen, Gael Castelli will be right on their tails as well. So there is one car between our race leader, Luc Ibanez, and the challenging Gabriela Piana. Gabriela had been 8 and a bit seconds down, but when the field gets bunched up behind the safety car and we get it released, it's a chance for Piana. It didn't look likely early in the race when the car was running outside the top 10, but that aquamarine and yellow BMW running 3rd in that queue of the cars could be able somehow to take a tilt at victory. So while it was looking so good for the NM Racing team, then Mercedes leads the field around. We're surely about to go racing all over again. The hammer is down most definitely, but there is another Mercedes between the pair of them. Here we go, round. Here we go, the hammer is down. He did it very early indeed. That second Mercedes in the line is a lap down. Will it keep out of the way? Certainly Gabriel Piana He's trying to go up the inside of him, get round him when they get, in fact, go around the outside of him into turn 1. Chased by Genick as well. Rapanga holds on in the Chevrolet for 4th. That lap, Mercedes tripped up. Oh, Rapanga got tripped up. He's lost 1 position to Nikolai Moller-Madsen, about to lose another to Gael Castelli. But for our race leader, he's made the break he needed to make. But the clock is going to be ticking through the last 8.25 minutes. It's going to be very tense because in terms of pure pace, you'd expect Gabriele Piana to match and exceed everything that Luke Ibanez can manage in the race-leading Mercedes. But let's see. He's got that advantage, but I think it's going to come down and down into the final 8 minutes of this hour-long race. And for Piana, he's got 2 wins on the board out of 2 starts. Both of those at Imola in the opening round. Let's see what he can do about Ibanez. Oh dear, the Chevrolet Camaro having just a rotten lap. He's lost another position. The Century Porsche Ticino car there, the green one with Camathius on the windscreen. Camathius at the wheel as well. Joel Camathius, number 718, gone up a position. So for Joe Rapanga, 1 move he tried, didn't work. He's lost 3 positions. That's cruel. So I think the story of the remainder of this race is the order from 4th place, 3rd, 4th place back to 10th. Back to Bob Herber, 9th Bob Herber. Nose to tail, but the story of the race is going to be this car, number 111, chasing after the race-leading 15 Mercedes from the NM Racing team. Luke Ibanez at the wheel. But that clock is already down to just 7 minutes remaining. Maybe, just maybe, Luke Ibanez can hang on and take a first win. Certainly looking very good indeed. Supra right out over the curbs and beyond. Always happens when you get a hugely close grouping of cars. Certainly plenty of pressure. Looked like the end of about lap 2. Number 32 is a lap down. It's in their way a little bit. Johan van der Erm. At certain points at Misano, you can't get out of the way trying to let cars who are a lap ahead of you come past. Oh, sudden challenge, and 21 has gone into 3rd place. Nikolai Moller-Madsen, he gained a position on the restart, got ahead of the Camaro, and now he caught Jagirs Genick napping. So suddenly the BMW not heading for the podium. And Allied Racing, they were fighting at the tail of the top 10 in the first half of this race, the pair of them. And suddenly we've got one up into 3rd position. Sister car in the hands of Bastian Buss has lost out a little bit. It's a fair distance back in 12th. But for Allied Racing, they could be getting a podium with their mid-blue Porsche. It's got ahead of the aquamarine coloured BMW. That's got car tucked in behind. There's a lap down. That's protecting it at the moment. But let's see what the Supra can do in the hands of Gael Castelli. The white car, number 8 on the door. Looks like it's just driven into the paddock and had some stickers put on. I think that's been the level, the lateness of some of the preparation. I mean, beautifully prepared, but you look at some of the full season race liveries, and the white Supra looks though a little way to go as yet. But unfortunately for him, the clock is going, and he's getting positions, and 32 has finally decided, I will go wide. Or maybe he simply was looking in his mirrors and just braked too late at turn 13. And 1, 2, 3 more cars went past him as well, including around the outside at 15. Oh, sharp intake of breath. I don't know if Joe Rapanga will manage it in the Camaro. But up ahead, 17, the Porsche Cayman looking very feisty indeed, all over the tail of the Toyota Supra. But Gael Castelli holds on. Castelli will cross the start-finish line in 5th place. Jagirs Genick, unfortunately, not a good lap for him, has fallen to 4th. Nikolai Moller-Madsen, we knew, gained a position. He's in 3rd. He's under 2 seconds down on Gabriele Piana. But Piana is down to 2.7 seconds, 2.677 to be precise, is the gap between him and the race leader, Luke Ibanez. Can Ibanez hang on? He's almost halved the period between the race going green again and when the checkered flag could fall. The Supra now being pushed, pummeled, harried. But Joel Camathius can't yet get past. It's a chance for the Camaro to make a better run. Oh, don't tell me there's a puncture now. Did he get clobbered up the back? Will that be both of the Supras have been hit and suffered a puncture? But what happened, the person who lost positions at the restart has now regained 2 of them, because Joe Rapanga fell to 7th. He's now back up past the slowing Supra and also past the slightly hesitant Joel Camathius. He had to come off the power, lost momentum as the Supra closed, and Joe Rapanga didn't need any second invitation. So 4 minutes flat remaining on the clock, and the race leader, Luke Ibanez, 2.8 seconds to good. No, it's come down to 2.6 seconds now. There will be more place changes, you can be sure of that. Bob Herber pushing very, very hard indeed. He's still in 9th at the tail of this train, but pushing very, very hard indeed. But the car in front is the one that's a lap down. Also from his stable, so it ought to let him through. Salazar Racing Team up front. 2.677 seconds was the gap first to second. What's it now? 2.336. That's come down by 3/10 of a second, but he needs to do it by many times more than that. He's going to regain the lead of the race, or take the lead of the race, because Gabriel Piana started down in 8th position, or his teammate did, and it's been a long climb. Bashuden laid the foundations, but right now Gabriel Piana is hunting down the race leader, but I'm not sure, barring incident, that he's going to manage to take it back from him. Gap between second and third between Piana and Nikolai Moller-Madsen almost identical, both 2.3 seconds. Clock continues to count down. Mark van der Aar making a move now on Joel Prometheus, who seems just at this point in the race slightly out of sorts. He's about to lose another position down into turn 8. Might get it again on the exit, because Mark van der Aar was very deep on the brakes. He's going to make sure the Porsche can only be off of the outside line as they go through the kink at turn 9. There's turn 9. Now it's about how good an exit you can have from turn 10. Dictates your ultimate pace down the long kink back straight, and good exit there for Mark van der Aar. So he's up into 6th place. Our race leader, just remember, 2.3 seconds to good. That's Luke Ibanez. Can the NM Racing Team make their move and make it stick? They're in the lead of the race, but can they put a win on the board? Last year, their top position that I can recall was just a tail of the top end. They had a 7th place finish for Ibanez and a different teammate, Max Liobe, last year, and that was at Paul Ricard. Very different circuit here, and so it's going to be their day of days. Maybe they can do it again tomorrow, but let's not count our chickens. First to second, 2.3 seconds. 2.3 seconds. Only a few hundredths gained that time around by Gabriel Piana. He slightly dropped Nikolai Moller-Madsen, but Allied Racing will be very pleased with the 3rd place if they can take it. I think that Luke Ibanez crossed the start-finish line with enough time not just to do this lap, but one more. He can't really afford to. It's going to be very close. He can't afford to back off by much, because just as I said, 2.3 seconds. If he had a 5-second buffer over Piana in 2nd place, he could maybe back it up and make sure that the hour chimed in just as he reached the start-finish line, but it's going to chime in just after he's crossed the start-finish line, I think. But there's the visual. Down to turn 8 they go. And that's 1-1-1 with Piana pushing hard, goes through the second part of the corner, accelerates towards turn 9, out of picture, now in picture, flashing through the bottom of the shot. NM Racing Team looks though the gap is staying very, very stable indeed. First to second, not likely to change surely as they go down the kickback straight. That is not going to be gained on this lap or the next. 10th of a second maybe, but surely for now NM Racing Team will be celebrating with enormous delight tonight, because this has been a race that went away from them when they fell from 3rd on the grid to 5th in the opening stint, but has come back, and that's really the mark of 2 drivers competing on an equal basis. It's all, when you've got 2 drivers in a car, you have to have them both performing at a good level. If one's a little slower, then it really, really hurts, particularly at the top end of GT4 racing. Look at the time at the top of the clock. They've got one more lap to go, crossing the start-finish line with, 2 seconds to go. So it's a 1-hour race. This is the final lap. The gap has stayed. It's still 2.3 seconds. They've traded a few hundredths one way a couple of laps ago, then the other way last lap, coming back in the favour of the race leader. 3rd place was in the hands of Jegis Gadik in the number 12 BMW. That was passed by Nikolai Moller-Madsen, and he's fallen by that same margin, 2.3 seconds further back in 4th place. And now he's suddenly got lots of pressure. Jo Rapanga is all over his tail. See if the Camaro can gain any more places. Certainly was the quicker of that pairing. He may gain a place on the final lap. This is the final lap, of course. Halfway round the lap, getting still in that 4th place, but the Camaro's coming after him. I think one more lap might have been required, but certainly Jo Rapanga probably a little bit cross about having lost positions when it came to the restart. He clawed them back, not all of them, one more to go. He's in 5th, may get 4th, but likewise Gabriela Piana is in 2nd. It is going to stay 2nd down the back straight. The gap hasn't come down at all, lights flashing, delighted with life. Ibanez 001, the letters and the numbers interchangeable through 13, under no pressure, nice and neat, nice and tidy. Get it into turn 14, don't accelerate too soon. Give yourself a nice comfortable line through the left-hander at turn 15. Don't touch the curbs if you can get away with it. Fine on the exit. Up to the final corner. 1 hour of racing is about to be completed. A new team taking victory. 2 wins for RN Vision STS at Imola. They come second today, but a new win for the team that moved from Ginetta to Mercedes for 2020. Delight for Luc Ibanez. And third place goes to Nikolai Moller-Madsen. He fought hard for Allied Racing. So we have Mercedes, BMW, Porsche, 3 makes in the top 3 positions. And BMW, again, it did hold on to 4th place overall. Jo Rapanga in the Chevrolet didn't quite make it. 4 manufacturers in the top 4 positions, but some great racing in that opening hour. Unfortunate for both of the Toyota Supras, both seem to be given a clatter up the back, but think most of all about poor Thio Nue and Valentin Haskell. Exemplary in the first half of the race, looking in control in the second half. And then their number 27 AGS Events Aston Martin pulled to the side of the circuit, got going again, and then failed over and out. But they'll be back to fight another day. They look very good at the front of the race. But when someone fails, it's a chance for someone else, and that someone else was Luc Ibanez. He's enjoying this slow run back to the pits, and definitely a cooling drink later on. But half a lap to go, but the hard work has been done. He's let some of his rivals go past. The cars that were finishing second and third have gone past him. So he's savouring the moment, running a little bit wide out of turn 8. It matters not. That was a great win for them. And you take what's offered and you take it with both hands. Great job by the NM Racing team. Conditions were hot, definitely sticky as the humidity continued to rise. Tomorrow's race starts at 9:30 in the morning, or the procedure does, and it's going to be hopefully a little cooler for the drivers on Sunday here at Imola. In fact, the race starts at 9:45. The race procedure starts at 9:30, so certainly judging by today and the previous few days, by 9:45 it can feel really quite warm, but certainly not as hot as in the Italian afternoon sun. So let's take a look at the finishing order. By 3.2 seconds, NM Racing team, Javier Loveras, who started off, and Luc Ibanez first in the race. Delighted with that. Bad Schutten and Gabriele Piana, they started down in 8th, so second place is a good haul. And Jörg Wiebahn, the top Porsche driver, with Nikolai Moller-Madsen, who carried it home up to third place. And then the BMW from Turkey, Cem Bolokbazi, Yankiz Gedik, they were second in Pro-Am class, which is the car in front of them, took the victory. And top car in AM, 8th place overall at the end, Bob Herbert. Great run for him for the Celesar Racing team. Few drivers going up and down that order in different directions, but it was very clean and tidy at the front. But you do feel for Thio Nue and Valentin Haskell, there they are, top of the screen. But unfortunately for them, that's the second screen. That's the list of retirements. And they pulled up. Can't tell you what happened to the car. I'm sure it's something they can fix, and they'll be out again tomorrow. But they'll have a heavy heart tonight. But certainly the team that will be celebrating, the NM Racing team, what a great job they did. Not only did they come away with the victory, but they did it by fighting back, having lost ground in the early stages of the race. So I think that will give them extra pleasure and excellent confidence as well will go to their drivers for tomorrow's procedures. But don't forget, of course, the grid can be very different when you get to the second race, because the grid positions for today were decided by the drivers who listed as the number 1 team drivers. The number 2 team drivers set the grid for tomorrow. If you've got an evenly qualified pair of drivers, you can likely be starting from similar positions. But if something goes wrong, or your teammate just happens not to be as fast, like in a Pro-Am combination, then you can be starting at more of a deficit. But right now, the NM Racing team, there's Javier Loveras, mask in place, of course, coming out to greet his teammate. That is going to be a big hot hug for the pair of them. And Luc Ibanez is out. He is so happy, and why not? Great job. Didn't put a wheel wrong, had to live through and control the restart, but with the final 9.5 minutes remaining in this race, he had the job. He's being hunted down by Gabriele Piana, the driver who's won the first 2 races, both of those at the opening round at Imola. But today, very different circuit, hot conditions again, but they got things right. So for the NM Racing team, there will be huge pride with what they've achieved, and very sensibly they parked the car in the shadow of the grandstands and the main pit building for a little welcome reprieve from the sun here. It's a hot day at the circuit Marco Simoncelli on Italy's Adriatic coast, but I think some very proud individuals. And just to reiterate, that third place finish took victory in the Pro-Am class for Nikolai Moller-Madsen and Jörg Wiebahn, and the top Am finisher was a few positions further back in 8th overall. Great run there from Bob Herbert. Did it all on his own. in that black and yellow Mercedes. So he really does deserve a pat on the back of what will be some probably very hot overalls. But some great chasing in that race, some great racing in that race. And I'd say it was all very clean, except for the poor old CMR Toyota Supras, both given a hit up the back, both ending up with a puncture that cost them progress. But let's go down and hear from the race winners. They'll be very happy. Let's hear from the crew from the NMR racing team.
Boys, that was absolutely fantastic race. You know, that really played into your hands at the end, in fact, when the car 27 had the failure and pulled over. You know, great emotion for you right now.
Yeah, it was a difficult start from my side. We are lacking a lot of top speed, but still managed to give him the car in a good position. And after the failure of the Aston Martin, we managed to finish on the top.
And towards the end of that race, certainly the car behind you was closing in. There was just a couple of seconds gap, a few more laps. Perhaps you couldn't have held it out there.
Yeah, it was difficult because it's the BMW is really fast, this car, and we wait with safety car, and we would push with the first 2 laps and to control the other car, and really good car race, the car. All the team, the change driver was really perfect. We win the race for this, and I'm really happy for all my family, my team, the car, Mercedes, for my teammates.
Congratulations to you both. Fantastic drive and well-deserved win.
Thank
done.
you.
I absolutely concur with what Luke Ibanez said. It was it might have seemed hard, but he really did control that. And if you're keeping back, matching the pace of a driver of the caliber of the chasing Gabriele Piana, who really seems to be the man of GT4, you have done a really seriously good job. So I think a lot of pride can be taken by those 2 drivers of the race-winning NM racing team Mercedes. That was a really rock-solid job. Gabriele Piana, would have been chasing very hard indeed, but at the end, the final lap, he backed off a bit, but he couldn't get within 2.5 seconds. And those are the V8 racing drivers, Jörg Rapanga and Timon Nabur, finishing 3rd in the silver class.
This doesn't go on the live stream, right?
The trophies for the NM racing crew. Sorry, that's the RN Vision STS crew. That was Gabriele Piana and his teammate in the 111 BMW. Similar race overalls, fooled me there for a second. And of course his teammate was Baz Schuten, who kicked it off. But the drivers we've seen already on the left of the screen, Luke Ibanez, who brought it home, and Javier Loveras, who had that difficult start to the race, but they kept it solid, stayed at the front, and their national anthem. So as the national anthems fade away, those are the top 3 silver crews in 1st, 2nd and 5th position. And by process of crunching the numbers, that means 2 Pro-Am cars separated them, with in 3rd place overall Nikolai Moller-Madsen bringing home the number 21 Allied Racing Porsche. In 3rd overall, 4th place Yagiz Gedik, building on the work of Cem Bolokbazi, and the 3rd car in the Pro-Am class, finishing in 7th overall, was the Century Porsche Ticino car. But right now it's all just happiness in the world of the NM racing team with that trophy to go with the drivers' trophies as well. Will that be the first of many? It certainly laid down a very good marker indeed. So the drivers who finished 3rd in the Pro-Am class, Joel Komathias, the tall figure on the right of the screen, and Ivan Jacoma on the left in the Dayglow green overalls, team from Switzerland. They had plenty of racing to be going on with. 2nd place in the Pro-Am class, it's the crew, one of the 2 crews from the Borusan Automotive team in Turkey. Yagiz Gedik, who brought it home, and Cem Bolukbazi should be going up to the podium in second place, just waiting for them to be flagged in. There they are, the Borusan Automotive badges on their car, on their overalls. Yagiz on the right, who brought it home, and on the left of the screen, slightly shorter driver, Cem Bolukbazi. A lot of racing under his belt already. As I said earlier, he does a lot of virtual racing, member of the Red Bull e-racing team, so he's been busy ever since, through the winter, then all through the pandemic as well. But victory in the Prime class, Nikolai Moller-Madsen and Jorg Wiebahn. Jorg, no stranger to winning things in GT4, and a really, really good job by the two of them. That's Jorg on the left, and the shorter figure of Nikolai Moller-Madsen on the right. So there's the Prime runners, and I think fairly shortly we see a very, very happy Bob Herber, because he won the AM class. But we'll wait for that, not get ahead of ourselves. So, national anthem for the winning team, Allied Racing, Jorg Wiebahn. He's been there, seen it, done it, and of course he was European champion back in 2016 in GT4. It's a category he just absolutely loves and excels at. Now will be the turn of the AM runners to make their way up to the podium for their celebrations. Third place in AM. Celesar Racing Team, Johan Vannerum. That was the number 32 entry, and Johan shared that with Jean-Luc Behe. Remember that car looked like it was running slowly for a problem. It looked like there was a problem just before the pit stops. It was recovered. Then the car clanked into the barriers on the exit of the pit lane, the curving pit lane exit, but they got away with it. 12th place overall, a lap down. We saw them with all the front runners coming through. Second place in the class. Autolando Sport, sort of almost stealth-like, the number 76 entry. Salvatore Riolo and Giuseppe Jezzi. Giuseppe in the green and white overalls. And the man who doesn't have anyone driving with him, Bob Herber, really great run, some great racing for him as well. Crossing the line for Celesar Racing Team SRT in 8th place overall, just a second down on Joel Comatius' Porsche. So he not only took the biggest trophy in the AM class, but he also had probably more fun than the other AM racers, because he was right in the thick of the battle. Thumbs up, the national anthem played, and job well done by all those crews that took the top 3 positions, not just in the race, but in the 3 classes. So well done. It's been a fabulous start to the GT4 European Series meeting here at Misano. They had the opening round at Imola, but really starting to settle into very good form and fashion. So 1 hour of racing under our belts here at Misano. Got to do it all over again tomorrow morning. Track conditions will probably be a little bit different, but tell you what, by the end of the race, it's going to be every bit as hot and humid in those cockpits as it was at the start of this afternoon's race. But a very good, clean race, it must be said, and delight for the NM Racing Team as they take that first win in the class. Not a class win, an overall win. That's the most important one of all for Neil Montserrat's team from Barcelona. But let's go down, because we've caught up with Nikolai Moller-Madsen. Let's hear what Gemma is going to ask him.
Boys, that was a fantastic drive, but really played into your hands towards the end after that last full course yellow.
I mean, Jan did an amazing start. Like, really came from 14 to 9 after 1 turn, and then he just kept it up there, stayed out of trouble, and yeah, made perfect. We did an early stop, came out. The speed was good, but maybe, yeah, for sure, we got lucky that we got caught up. The field got together, but we still had to pass the guys, and I think the speed was good. We can be proud of it. Really good job of the team and everybody. So.
And Jorg, was that always the strategy to have the early stop?
Yes, well, it was. We had to stop at the moment. We had the full course yellow before. The tires were really overheating in that moment, so we were happy to go in and change quickly. And well, he's the pro. He's the very fast driver, so I was happy to hand over after that start and the position. We're very happy. I did a good race and look forward to it tomorrow.
Well, certainly a great way to start the sprint season. Congratulations, well done. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jorg Wiebahn being typically modest there, but certainly doesn't put a wheel wrong. Really strong at the start. A lot of guesswork around those first sequence of corners, but he managed to pick up places. And if his teammate is right, 5 places gained. But let's take a look at the highlights. A very interesting start for Kurt Burgarts. He didn't gain any positions over on the grass, but up the front it was a really clean start in the lead of the race by Tio Nue. Breaking clear at the front. In behind it was super busy. The number 8 Toyota Supra always in the thick of the battle. The Century Porto Ticino 718 losing ground there, and then unfortunately a clash that left Ibrahim Okiai, who gained about 6 places, off into the gravel, brought out a safety car. A car that had already come in from pit stop, then clattered the barriers. That ended up down in 13th place. You don't hit your car, come away with that damage. But look at the quality of the racing. It was super tight, and 27 had it all under control. The AGS events Aston Martin, but alas, it was not to be their day. Those giving chase thought they were chasing off the minor podium positions, but then suddenly, when 27, Valentin Haas Close was at the wheel, ran out of steam. Still haven't found out what went wrong with it. It suddenly gave an opportunity for those in behind, and it really was tough in behind. Jo Rapanga being pushed here and there. And then this is just what the AGS events team did not want to see. Its car slowing down and pulling off. That put the NM Racing Mercedes into the lead of the race. The Aston Martin pulled off the circuit. Look how tight it was behind on the restart. But for Luc Ibanez, he did everything right. And there he is taking the flag. Checkered it was for him. For Gabriel Piana, 2nd place. But today, it was Mercedes.